So, the Super Bowl brought us another intriguing teaser for this year's fourth Avengers outing, Avengers Endgame. It provided us with less than 30 seconds of new footage, but that was more than enough for fans to come up with a bunch of new theories based on it. In this video, we'll be looking into some secrets that the Avengers Endgame Super Bowl trailer might have been hiding. The US is hit by a refugee crisis. The first scenes in the trailer show New York City looking derelict. But the city's harbor is absolutely jam-packed with boats. Could it be that this is a scene typical of the US coastline in general in the MCU following the decimation? Knowing that America is the home of the Avengers, millions of people from other countries might have been so scared by the loss of 50% of all life that they headed to the States looking for protection from Earth's mightiest heroes. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and people can act drastically in a crisis. In the absence of scheduled flights, anyone with a boat might have packed up and headed straight to the US. Steve Rogers was hit the hardest by the decimation. Steve Rogers has had a hard life. He was picked on for being a sickly, skinny kid, but he had a heart of gold and an instinctive need to protect people. We all imagined the decimation would hit him the hardest, harder than anyone else, and it looks as though that's exactly what happened. He lost Bucky Barnes once, and he recently lost Peggy Carter, so for him to lose Bucky again, as well as his new friend Sam Wilson, he's bound to be distraught, especially given that he failed to prevent it. In fact, he appears to be attending a support group for survivors of the snap. Rogers really doesn't like bullies, and you can see in his face in the next scene in the trailer that he's particularly agitated. Tony and Nebula make their way home. Next up, we're shown Tony Stark and Nebula working together, in much the same way Stark has previously worked in the cave in 2008's Iron Man and in his lab in 2010's Iron Man 2. Could it be that their situation isn't as dire as the first trailer suggested? Maybe, in their desperation, the unlikely pairing decide to get to work, possibly using parts from Nebula's own body to help them, to get them back to Earth. There's a scene in which Steve Rogers, Bruce Banner, Natasha Romanoff, and James Rhodes are looking up to the sky outside the Avengers headquarters in upstate New York. Maybe, just maybe, they're watching Tony Stark arriving home, having done some of his famous tinkering to get himself there. Tony and Nebula float to Nidavellir. Alternatively, given that the place we see Tony and Nebula at could very easily be a forge, could it be that the duo got lucky while floating aimlessly in space and ended up at Nidavellir? What better place to end up at than the home of Eitri if they want to get back to Earth? We already know Peter Dinklage's character can forge weapons that can summon the Bifrost. That would be a convenient way for Tony to return home with his new blue-skinned ally. It would also be an ideal opportunity to create some new weapons. Maybe an awesome enchanted Iron Man armor to help in the fight back against Thanos. Maybe we'll see Stark and Eitri working together, like in the 2011 Fear Itself comic book arc, which would be amazing to see in live action. Rocket goes looking for Valkyrie. One of the most satisfying things about the Avengers Endgame Super Bowl trailer was that we got our first look at Rocket in the movie. His first appearance shows him opening a door in what looks like a seaside shack of some kind. But where could he be? And what might he be doing there? Well, one idea is that he's been tasked with finding Valkyrie and the surviving Asgardian refugees, who may have headed to Earth when they fled the Statesman upon Thanos' arrival on board. Tessa Thompson is believed to have filmed some scenes for Avengers Endgame in Scotland, so maybe Rocket's there. Or perhaps he's in Scandinavia, the spiritual home of the Norse gods, which seems like a fitting destination for Asgardians. Either way, having Valkyrie involved in the fight back against Thanos is an awesome prospect. Thor seeks out Thanos. We also saw Thor again in the Avengers Endgame Super Bowl trailer, and in one of the shots with him in, it appears as though he could be on whatever planet Thanos had retired to at the end of Avengers Infinity War. While the building he's in is similar to the Mad Titan's farm, that's definitely not where Thor is, but it could certainly be the same world. Given how close the God of Thunder came to preventing Thanos from executing the decimation, it wouldn't be out of character for him to seek the prune-chinned villain out again. Clint Barton retrieves the Ether. We saw Clint Barton in his Ronin guise for the first time in the first Avengers Endgame trailer, but in the Super Bowl trailer, he appeared to be back as Hawkeye. With a quiver full of arrows on his back, Barton can be seen looking up at something while being bathed in a mysterious red light. Now, the first thing we think of when we think of red energy in the MCU is the ether, the reality stone, and that could be important. One long-standing theory about Avengers Endgame is that the heroes of the MCU will go back in time to collect the Infinity Stones before Thanos ever gets the chance to. Could it be that Barton is tasked with collecting the ether? It certainly looks as though that might be the case. Captain America makes his last stand. It's long been expected that Avengers Endgame will be Chris Evans' last movie as Captain America, and the Super Bowl trailer had a scene that certainly suggests that might be the case. It shows Cap gearing up to use his shield, with the classic leather strap rather than the magnetic add-on, so he's going old school. But his hands, they're shaking and dirty. It looks as though he's about to give the last ounce of energy he possesses. It may just be that this is Cap's last stand, his final act of bravery to save the universe, and one that may well cost him his life. Who are the Magnificent Seven? In the trailer's final scene, we see a ragtag team of 7 heroes gearing up for some kind of mission in the Avengers New York headquarters. We can only see their silhouettes, so it's difficult to make out who's who, but we think we've succeeded. It looks like Captain America, followed by Hawkeye, Black Widow, Rocket, Ant-Man, Bruce Banner, and James Rhodes. Some people have said it's Thor following Cap, but the guy in the trailer's arms aren't big enough. He's a muscular boy. There are, however, some spaces in the line that suggest some characters have been edited out of the trailer. Tony Stark and Nebula, anyone? We'll just have to wait to find out. Avengers Endgame hits theaters at the end of April, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. What do you think of these theories? Which one was your favorite? Will any of them turn out to be true? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Screen Rant for more great videos just like this one. See you next time, guys!